Playing effortlessly and having apparently limitless endurance on the trumpet can seem like an impossible dream for many of us. Fortunately, adjusting the way we practice can bring it into reach. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Brian from Airflow Music. Alongside publishing our books for brass players, we're releasing a bunch of videos with tips to make brass playing easier for you. So, if you're new here, please subscribe to the Airflow Music channel so you're notified of all of our videos. This video is part of the Trumpet A-Z series. Although I offer up exercises in many of these videos, there are plenty of areas of our playing in which the rate of our progress is not defined by what we practice, but rather about how we practice. I'd like to talk about a couple of things you may not have considered. K is for kinesthesia. Kinesthesia may well be an unfamiliar word for many of you. The dictionary defines it as an awareness of the movement and position of parts of the body. Although in terms of learning to play an instrument, I define it a little more broadly, as getting a feel for what you're doing. It's fairly well understood that we practice to learn new skills, and then repeat and repeat to hone those skills and develop muscle memory so we can repeat an action on demand. Kinesthesia is generally considered an important part of that process. I'd like to share with you a couple of things I've learned about how muscle memory works, and a couple of practice tips that can make a big difference. Almost every action we learn to perform has an element of getting a feel for it. This goes back to the earliest things we learn as babies, like sitting up, smiling or crawling, and learning an instrument is no different. What's interesting is that although we may focus on how something feels at the point of contact with an object we're manipulating, or within the specific muscles we notice we're using, it actually goes much deeper than that. While we repeat the action to get more used to doing it, and to develop the necessary strength and coordination to do it better, what is also happening is that new neurological pathways are being formed in our brain which eventually allow us to perform an action instinctively, without thinking about it. In other words, a habit for how to perform the action is formed. The thing about this which is often overlooked is that more than just the necessary physical impulses are stored in the muscle memory. In fact, it's more along the lines of a snapshot of your entire brain chemistry as you perform the action. That means that the habit also deals with how you feel, as well as what you feel. Some of you may be wondering how this is relevant to playing your instrument, but stick with me here because I have 4 practice tips to help you improve your endurance and your overall ease of playing. My biggest single tip for practicing is to learn to recognise when your chops are getting a bit tired, and then take a break. If we practice everything on fresh chops, then being tired doesn't become part of the habit of playing. You've probably heard the old adage, rest as much as you play, and it couldn't be more true, but we tend to abuse that by treating it as work ourselves to exhaustion for a period of time and then rest for the same. We ultimately get more done if we practice in short bursts interspersed with short periods of rest. When starting to put this into practice, we may need to rest every few minutes to begin with, but after a short time, your chops develop and it takes longer to get tired in the first place. Another thing I think you should do is to shake up the order of your practice. This is especially important if you have a fixed routine of exercises to play daily, perhaps prescribed by your teacher in college or something like that. It is important to practice these things. After all, we all need to practice our fundamentals. But I see many students who struggle with their daily routine because they just hammer through the same exercises in the same order as quickly as possible just in order to get it done, and without listening to their bodies and resting when they're tired. In many cases, they get tired around the same part of the routine every time because it's become part of the habit of playing it. The simple way around this, apart from following tip number 1 and resting when you're tired, is to mix up the order of the exercises. You'll still improve your fundamentals and you'll get out of the habit of automatically getting tired when you use whatever technique is, say, 45 minutes into an hour-long routine. Personally, the only thing I do in a fixed order every day is my warm-up, which is short and designed to get my response working nice and quickly. After that, I always vary the order of what I practice. It's not just feelings like tiredness that get stored in the muscle memory. Your larger emotional state can become habitual too. For this reason, for many years now, I've always tried to practice in a positive frame of mind. As a result, no matter what else may be going on in my life, playing the trumpet can usually be relied upon to cheer me up. To this end, if it's time to practice and you're in a bad mood or you're dealing with something else, then take a few minutes before you start to do something that cheers you up or inspires you. I sometimes like to watch a comedy sketch or an incredible music performance to lift my mood and get my head in the game for practicing. Just remember that you do still have to practice, so don't get distracted for too long and waste precious time. My fourth and final tip is to adjust your goals for practice. I've touched on this in a couple of these videos, but my goal when I'm practicing something is not just to become competent at it. That's just the first stage. Thereafter, I continue practicing and honing it until I can figure out how to play it in the easiest and most beautiful way possible. Effortless playing is not an accident. It can and should be practiced. I hope you found this video helpful. If so, please hit that like button and subscribe to the Airflow Music channel. And share it with your friends on Facebook or Twitter. If you have any questions about this or any of our videos, please comment below. And if you'd like to support us in making more videos like this, please visit airflowmusic.com and consider purchasing a book or a lesson. We'd really appreciate it. I'll see you on the next video. Now, go practice.